We often say we want love, but if you stop and reflect deeply, what is it that you truly desire? Is it genuine love, or is it something subtler, yet more urgent, the need to feel chosen, acknowledged, and validated by someone else? There is a profound difference between loving someone and desperately wanting to be loved. Most people who claim to seek love are, in reality, searching for validation. They crave external proof that they matter, that they are enough. This craving is not about connection. It's about silencing the inner voice that whispers you are not enough. It's about wanting to be seen and desired, not because it deepens a bond, but because it temporarily quiets insecurity. This yearning for love often masquerades as romantic desire, but beneath the surface, it's something else entirely. It is a longing for reassurance from the outside world, a reassurance we never fully learned to give ourselves. It is easier to want to be loved than to learn how to love, because love requires vulnerability, effort, and a commitment to growth. To be loved feels like a gift, an affirmation, a lifeline, but this feeling, being loved, can become a trap. It lures us into believing that our worth depends on someone else's choice, on being picked, wanted, or desired. And in that illusion, we tie our value to external validation rather than to our own inner acceptance. So what do we really want when we say, "I want love"? Is it the experience of love itself, or is it the desperate hope to feel enough to be told, even silently, "You matter, you are worthy"? This desire often comes from a place of deep emptiness, a void inside that no one else can fill, because it's not theirs to fill. It's a wound from early experiences, perhaps from moments of rejection, neglect, or conditional love in childhood. From those early years, we might have internalized the belief that love is something you have to earn, that being loved is a prize reserved for the good, the useful, or the perfect. And so, we grow up believing that to be loved, we must be chosen again and again. And every time someone chooses us, we get a fleeting sense of relief, a brief moment when the emptiness seems to disappear, but it always returns. This cycle of longing and relief is a form of what can be called immature love. It's not love in its fullest sense. It's a neurotic need for fusion, a desire to merge with another person so completely that you temporarily forget your loneliness, your fears, and your sense of separation. But this isn't true connection. It's dependency disguised as intimacy. It's an emotional addiction to the sensation of being needed and desired. And the culture around us constantly feeds this addiction, teaching us that we need someone else to complete us, to save us, or to give meaning to our existence. This, however, is a misconception. True love doesn't begin when someone chooses you. It begins when you stop needing to be chosen. If you're listening to this now, perhaps you sense this truth somewhere inside you. Maybe you feel the exhaustion of endlessly trying to prove your worth to others, the weariness of clinging to attention as if it's the only thing keeping you afloat. This is not a comfort. It's a call to awaken. Because until you confront the root of this emptiness, you will continue to mistake neediness for love and dependency for connection. And that path leads only to repeated heartbreak and deeper loneliness. The core issue, loving vs. being loved, consider this. Why does most of our anxiety about love focus on whether we are loved, rather than on whether we are capable of loving? This subtle inversion shapes how many of us approach relationships. We think of love as something we receive rather than something we give. Think about what comes to your mind when you think of love. Will someone choose me? Am I worthy? Am I interesting enough to be loved? These questions are natural, but they show how outwardly focused we are. We treat love as a prize to win, and ourselves as competitors. Being loved often becomes the passive side of love. It means being the object of someone's desire or affection. But desire is a fickle thing. It ignites quickly, and it can vanish just as fast. If your self-worth depends on being desired, then your emotional well-being becomes a hostage to others' attention and approval. One rejection, one silence, one withdrawal can shatter you. This craving for external love often roots back to early emotional conditioning. From a young age, many of us learn to seek love in ways that are emotionally immature. Loving fully requires emotional maturity, looking at another person with intention, responsibility, and respect. It means seeing them as whole, separate beings, not as someone who will complete us. Instead, many of us seek love as a way to be saved, to be validated, or to feel okay. We want someone to fill our internal gaps, but this is impossible. No other person can permanently provide that sense of completeness. So, instead, what we have are fragile relationships, intense and passionate at the start, but often unstable and ultimately unfulfilling. These relationships are emotional transactions. Give me your love, and I'll give you what you want. But this bargain always leaves one or both feeling empty in the end. What are we really trying to fill with this hunger for love? What is the void inside that makes us vulnerable to any semblance of affection? The answer lies in the neurotic need for fusion, the desire to escape the painful reality of separation and loneliness by merging with another person. It is not love, it is escape. The neurotic need for fusion. When you chase after someone to feel loved, it's not love you're seeking, it's fusion. You want to dissolve your sense of being separate, to escape your internal solitude and pain. You want to be held so tightly, emotionally, physically, symbolically, that for a few moments your own anxious voice goes silent. The fear of not being enough, of being alone, of being forgotten, seems to vanish. But this is an illusion. No one can bear that burden forever. No relationship can heal wounds you carry inside you. As long as you cling to the fantasy that being chosen makes you whole, you will swing between moments of elation and despair, between hope and heartbreak. This symbiotic fusion is not love. It's a regression, a dependence that sacrifices your individuality. When two people fuse like this, neither remains truly themselves. It's a union without integrity, a camouflage for emotional neediness disguised as passion. What feels like overwhelming love may actually be an addiction to feeling significant to someone else. When the other person is present, you feel alive. When they withdraw, you crumble. This cycle often begins long before adulthood. It roots in childhood experiences, how you were seen or not seen by caregivers who were meant to teach you how to love yourself. This unconscious repetition of old pain drives you to seek now what you never fully received, unconditional love. The wounded child inside. Have you noticed how certain relationships make you feel like a scared child? Why do you cling to the smallest signs of affection? And why does the absence of attention feel like an emotional collapse? This is not exaggeration or drama. It's the voice of the wounded child within you, a child still screaming silently for something it never got. The pain of separation is one of the most intense human agonies, and it begins in childhood. We are born completely dependent, needing to be fed, protected, touched, and emotionally safe. When love is conditional, inconsistent, or absent, an invisible wound forms. This wound does not vanish with time. It only hides behind adult facades, forced independence, impulsive relationships, an endless need to be desired, and a paralyzing fear of rejection. Many adults try to recreate the safety of early childhood through relationships, longing to return to a state of complete fusion and security. But this is a regression, not growth. The wounded child inside learned early on, to be loved, you have to earn it. Be perfect, be useful, don't be a burden. And now as adults, we try to earn love through pleasing, hoping it will finally be enough, but it never is. No amount of effort can silence the pain of a child who believes love must be earned. And until you recognize and embrace that child with compassion, you will keep attracting relationships that mirror this old wound, reinforcing it instead of healing it. The path to healing and mature love healing does not come from the outside. It cannot be found in another relationship, a promise, or a fleeting moment of attention. Healing begins when you face your wounded child with kindness, not judgment, and take responsibility for your own emotional care. This is the beginning of emotional maturity and true love. True love is not a magical accident or a romantic fantasy. It is an art, a discipline, a practice, and a commitment. It demands courage to be vulnerable without guarantee, to choose love even when it's hard. True love begins when you stop looking for someone to save you and start being someone who can build a life with another whole person. When you no longer beg for affection, but consciously choose to love. Love is not about need, it is about overflow. It is a gift from your own wholeness, not a desperate plea to fill emptiness. Breaking free from the culture of infantilized love, we live in a culture that sells love like a product, easy to get, easy to discard, packaged with seductive promises but often hollow inside. Social media, movies, songs, they all tell us that love is about finding someone to complete us, to fill our gaps, to fix our loneliness. But this is not love. It's dependency disguised as romance. Many people want love to be effortless. Many people want love to be effortless. They want it to feel like a natural reward for just being themselves, without needing to confront their own inner struggles or growth. This expectation creates frustration and disappointment, as love in its truest form requires more than simply existing or hoping for affection. It demands presence, awareness, and ongoing emotional labor. The culture around us often infantilizes love, portraying it as something passive and magical, rather than active and transformative. This infantilization keeps us trapped in cycles of longing, confusion, and heartbreak. It encourages us to avoid the harder questions. Who am I when I'm not loved? What do I bring to a relationship beyond my neediness? Can I face loneliness without collapsing? Escaping this cultural trap means stepping into a deeper reality. It means accepting that love is not a fairy tale but a practice, a lifelong journey of discovery, patience, and healing. One of the first steps in this journey is understanding that your value does not depend on being chosen. You are not a prize to be won or a commodity to be exchanged. Your worth is inherent and unconditional. This realization shifts the focus from seeking external validation to cultivating internal acceptance. Imagine a world where love is not about possession or control, but about freedom and growth, where two individuals come together not to complete each other, but to complement and challenge each other. This is the essence of mature love. Mature love respects boundaries, honors individuality, and nurtures growth. It acknowledges that both people are imperfect and broken in their own ways, yet chooses connection over separation, compassion over judgment. Such love requires courage because it exposes vulnerability and uncertainty. It requires the willingness to stay present even when emotions are difficult or confusing, and it demands honest communication, empathy, and a commitment to personal and mutual development. But mature love is also deeply rewarding. It opens the door to true intimacy, an intimacy that transcends physical attraction and romantic fantasy. It allows for authentic connection that embraces the whole person, shadows and light alike. This kind of love fosters healing rather than pain, growth rather than stagnation, freedom rather than dependence. It invites you to be seen fully and to see another fully without losing yourself in the process. Learning to love yourself before you can truly love another person, you must learn to love yourself, not in a superficial or narcissistic way, but with profound acceptance and compassion. Self-love is often misunderstood. Many equate it with selfishness or vanity, but in reality, it is the foundation upon which all healthy relationships are built. Without self-love, love for others becomes needy, possessive, or manipulative. To love yourself means to recognize your own inherent worth regardless of achievements, appearance, or others' opinions. It means embracing your flaws, your history, your fears, and your dreams without shame or avoidance. This process requires courage and honesty. It asks you to confront parts of yourself that are uncomfortable or painful and to extend kindness rather than harsh judgment. Self-love also means setting boundaries that protect your well-being. It means saying no to relationships or situations that diminish your sense of safety or dignity. It means prioritizing your emotional and mental health as essential, not optional. As you cultivate self-love, you begin to dissolve the false belief that your value depends on others' approval. You start to live from a place of wholeness rather than lack, This inner shift transforms how you relate to others. Instead of clinging to love out of desperation, you choose relationships that enhance your life. Instead of fearing rejection, you embrace connection with openness. Self-love is not a destination but a continuous journey. There will be days of doubt and insecurity, but with practice, these moments become less overwhelming. Ultimately, self-love frees you from the neurotic need for fusion and allows you to engage in relationships with clarity, confidence, and genuine affection. The role of loneliness in love. Loneliness is one of the deepest human experiences. It often feels like a pain that is unbearable, a sign of rejection or failure. But loneliness is also a teacher, a signal that something inside us needs attention. We live in a paradoxical time, more connected than ever through technology, yet many people feel profoundly lonely. This loneliness can push us toward unhealthy relationships, where we seek not connection but merely the end of solitude. However, learning to be comfortable with solitude is crucial. It is only when you face loneliness without running from it that you can begin to understand yourself and your needs in relationships. Loneliness can teach you about your fears, your desires, and your patterns of seeking validation. It reveals where you have relied on others to fill gaps that only you can address. When you embrace solitude, you reclaim your autonomy and begin to nurture a deeper relationship with yourself. This solitude becomes a fertile ground for self-discovery, creativity, and healing. From this place of wholeness, you can enter relationships not out of desperation, but out of genuine desire to share your life with another. Loneliness no longer becomes an enemy but a companion, reminding you of your capacity for growth and your fundamental completeness. From neediness to freedom, many of us repeat the same patterns in relationships without understanding why. We fall for partners who mirror our childhood wounds or who confirm our fears of rejection and unworthiness. These unconscious patterns keep us trapped in cycles of heartbreak and dependency. Breaking free requires awareness and intentionality. Start by observing your own behavior in relationships. Notice when you feel anxious, jealous, or desperate. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? What old story am I replaying? Recognize the difference between healthy need and natural human desire for connection, and neurotic neediness, which seeks to control or manipulate others for emotional survival. Practice shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Instead of believing there is only one person who can love or complete you, understand that love is abundant and available in many forms. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, not out of need but out of openness. Express your feelings honestly without expectation. Communicate your boundaries clearly. Surround yourself with people who respect your growth and encourage your independence. As you build this foundation, you move from emotional dependence to emotional freedom. You no longer seek love as a remedy for pain, but as a celebration of life. The spiritual dimension of love. Philosophers and mystics throughout history have explored love not just as an emotion, but as a spiritual path. Love, in its highest form, is a transformative force that dissolves the ego and connects us to something greater than ourselves. This spiritual dimension of love invites us to see beyond personal desires and fears, to recognize the sacredness in others, and to act with compassion and kindness. When love becomes spiritual practice, it changes from being about possession to being about service. It teaches us to love unconditionally, without attachment or expectation. This kind of love can heal wounds, transcend conflict, and unite seemingly separate individuals into a shared experience of being. Exploring love as a spiritual practice invites you to look inward and outward simultaneously, cultivating inner peace while engaging with the world compassionately. It challenges you to move beyond your ego's limitations and to embrace love as an expression of your highest self. Embracing the journey. Love is not a simple or easy path. It is messy, complicated, and sometimes painful. But it is also the most profound teacher and healer we have. By facing your own fears, nurturing self-love, embracing solitude, and committing to growth, you open yourself to the possibility of true love. True love is not about being chosen or validated. It is about choosing to love again and again with courage and authenticity. It requires patience with yourself and others, and a willingness to be imperfect and vulnerable. But the rewards are immeasurable: deep connection, inner peace, and a life filled with meaning. Remember, love starts with you, not as a demand, but as a gift you give yourself and others. This is the love that lasts, that heals, and that transforms.